NESARA is the National Economic Stabilization and Reformation Act, okay? And I'll explain that just a little bit here. But you have to understand what this part is. This is what these idiots want you to believe that they want to do. They say, you will own nothing and you'll love it. Come on, this is stupid. They're going to pay off your student loans. Huh, that's helpful. But what about all these other loans? Huh. What they would push us through is another realm of going from a fiat to another one. It'd be a new fiat. And by the way, the World Economic Forum and all of these other morons all try to tell you about it. That's why people like Glenn Beck can't think about anything else, because the world is telling you this other story. And you're not hearing the full reality of this. Because here's what happens. When the CARES 2 Act comes out, here's what occurs. In February of 2020, a 1,000-page document called the CARES 1 Act comes out. I have a friend of mine who actually worked for the IRS. She read every single page. Fran read, she used to take the documentation the Congress would write and put it into IRS-ease, the information. So here's what happened. She says, this sucker was perfect. Okay, well, cool. They did a good job. Okay, great. How come, like about 3 weeks later, they write a 1,200-page document? It's called CARES 2. And it was perfect. Now let me tell you something. I'm going to show you a book here. Revelations of the Red Pills, the fastest book I ever wrote. I wrote it just through December. It took 3 weeks to write, 3 or 4 weeks to write. And it's 140 pages or something like that. So we're talking about a book that I'm busting it up on, and I did it within 4 weeks. But how do you write a 1,000-page document and finish and go to a 1,200-page document? Well, enough people were writing it. Do you want to stick with that one? That's the dumbest thing in the world. The reality is, they pre-planned this. We know COVID-19 was pre-planned. We know this was pre-planned. But actually, Trump did something to hijack the system. Because here's what happened. And I was looking at this very carefully in 2020. Because I had been a part of writing loans with my manufacturers. I got a chance to do something most people will never get a chance to do. Now here's what happens when you have a loan, okay? A loan has to have a payment time frame, a payment amount, a amortization scale, okay? It has to have a percentage, and it has to have a credit check. And for businesses, it's called a personal guarantee. Now, what the heck does that mean? See, and I'm an S corporation, and it has to go right down through to get to Scott. Because if Scott goes out of business, they want to take their pound of flesh out of my rear end, okay? So what occurs, you have to have all of these different points in here. Now, when friends of mine, over half the people that heard about the PPP didn't go through it then. All you had to do in your PPP is keep employment. And you had to pay your people. That's what I'm trying to do. Here's what happened. There was no repayment point. There was no amortization scale. None was given when I did this documentation. No, there was a percentage rate of 5%, but it was a fictitious number. And here's what's even weirder. There's no credit. You didn't even look at my credit. All they did is guarantee that I had pay to employees and that I wouldn't lose any employees. And there lastly was no personal guarantee. What? There's no personal guarantee, there's no credit, there was an interest rate on there, but it was going to be deleted, there was no amortization schedule, and there was no payment plan. And here's how they did this thing. It was an SBA loan. That is coming from the Treasury Department to accomplish that loan. It's really powerful. Now, I already had a loan from someone else. I was never allowed to get SBA loans because I had a loan with a personal guarantee. So every time I would try to get a personal guarantee, I could never get it. It's really important to know that. Now, here's what's powerful. Scott was getting the PPP to pay my employees that I committed to pay no matter what happened. I was going to commit to pay. Regent Bank that I just moved into was also getting money. And they talked to me about this issue. They were getting money every single time they did this. And they're like, wait a second. If I don't have to pay these idiots off, how are they getting the money? Because Trump went in there and hijacked it and said that the Treasury was going to house the Fed. And he already did it. If you don't catch how cool this was, he already did it. He already knocked him for a loop. And here's the point. NESARA is going to switch the money. We will talk about that more. I'm not going to get into this, but I will tell you that you got to watch the MASH episode, season 6, where Charles notices they go from a blue currency to a red currency. Blue pill, red pill. Guys, it's been in the ethosphere all the time. I'm not going to get off on that because we will talk more about that. But I'm telling you, this system was set up. And they set up the system to mess with you. But guess what? Trump went in and torched them. He already killed it off.